Good morning, dear friends in the Dharma. It is May the 13th, 2021. I think of myself as Robert Beatty. Though I do take myself a bit less seriously than I used to. It never stops changing. It's a beautiful day here. Kind of scarily beautiful. Day after day we're having sunshine. It's May. This is a broadcast of the Portland Insight Meditation Community, portlandinsight.org. If you are watching on Facebook or YouTube, please know you can join us in the sort of real world of Zoom. You can find the links to that at portlandinsight.org or robertbeatty.com. So, a poem. It's not so many months since I read this, but it's such a beauty. I think it's 15th century or so. It's from Hafiz, a Sufi mystic. Becoming human. One time a man came to me and spoke for hours about his visions of God he felt he was having. He asked me for confirmation, saying, "Are these wondrous dreams true?" I replied, "How many goats do you have?" He looked surprised and said, "I am speaking of sublime visions of God, and you ask about goats?" I spoke again, saying, "Yes, my brother, how many do you have?" "Well, Hafiz, I have 62. "And how many wives?" Again he looked surprised and then said, 4. "How many rose bushes in your garden? How many children? Are your parents still alive? Do you feed the birds in the winter?" To all this he answered. And then I said, "You asked me if I thought your visions were true. I would say that they were, if they make you become more human, more kind to every creature and plant that you know." You asked me if I thought your visions were true. I would say they were, if they make you become more human, more kind to every creature and plant that you know. The very rock bottom foundation of our practice is kindness. So let's begin with some kindness toward ourselves. To sit comfortably upright. What greater gift can we give ourselves at the beginning of the day? I suppose after coffee. What greater gift can we give ourselves than the opportunity to sit and be awake and notice what's happening? There's something some teachers talk about as the sacred pause. To cultivate that mysterious space that exists between stimulus and response. that can open up worlds of choice. When we cultivate mindfulness, we begin to notice thoughts and impulses and memories and between their arising and the next thought or the next intention to act, there is awareness of the arising. In this way, this capacity of selecting the response to some mysterious degree, we begin to live out a destiny rather than a fate. Some would say we listen to our better angels. So let's remember the refuge in the Buddha, the Dharma, and the Sangha. Let us remember to be present. And in this presence, to notice the fact of all things arising and passing away. To come home to the experience of breathing in and breathing out. To notice that the mind wanders. To receive the beginning of each breath. To stay with the middle, the rising to fullness, the decline, and then the disappearance. There is the aliveness of the body. There is knowing that. There are the activities of the mind, thinking, planning, remembering, stories of all kinds. All the stories of a whole lifetime, with very quick access to them. Out of these we weave something that we think of as stable. We want to be a stable self. Perhaps the hindrances are active. Maybe there's desire, wanting, subtle or great. Maybe there's aversion or disliking, resistance. Or maybe sleepy dullness. Or perhaps restlessness, agitation, worry, anxiety. Or doubt, dispiritedness, depression. We come to understand and experience these all exist in consciousness. They are objects. They are phenomena that arise and pass. And so we come home to now, to this breath, to this thought. No matter what is occurring, internally or externally, this present moment is like this. The shorthand of the Buddha's teachings for practice. Try to live in the present moment. There's nothing to figure out. There's nowhere to get to. There's just here and now. This breath coming, this breath going. Falling into the trance of thoughts, the stories, and then discovering awakeness, discovering non-identification with the thoughts. It's a very ordinary thing. it's useful to become aware of what the attitude is. Is it, I'm going to get rid of these thoughts. I don't like this present experience of fear or anxiety or confusion or whatever it is. I want to get to there, and then I'll be content. Or is it perhaps I take refuge in the Buddha, Dharma, and Sangha? The mind is like this right now. Is there perhaps a willingness to consider that nothing has to change? Doesn't mean we might not make lots of change in our lives or be active in a variety of ways. But here, in the container of our meditation practice, can we embrace, I aspire to love and accept myself exactly as I find it? And whenever there's suffering, I aspire to hold this suffering, this experience in sweet, kind, patient, loving compassion. Right now. Right now with this breath, with this pressure of the body against the chair. What a kindness. What a profound kindness to offer ourselves. The experience of this moment may be pleasant, unpleasant, or indeterminate. What we are doing sets the stage for an entire day of mindfulness. What a privilege. Perhaps the mind is wandering a lot. And then somehow awareness emerges. There's no need to judge good and bad, successful or not. The opportunity is to have more moments of being present. Hafiz said, "How many rose bushes are there in your garden? How many children? Are your parents still alive? Do you feed the birds in the winter?" To all of this, she answered. And then I said, "You asked me if I thought your visions were true. I would say they were if they make you become more human, more kind to every creature and plant that you know." I'm going to close today by playing a song that I've used for a couple of 3 or 4 years at the beginning of retreats. And I hope it all works. It's a loving kindness song. attuned to this extraordinary aliveness. Daring to be present. Daring to feel. This is a very strange educational institution, a human life. Can we learn to love ourselves and each other or not? There are countless ways to avoid reality. Work, shopping, worrying, intoxications of all kinds. But we can stop and pat the dog lovingly. We can pat the cat. We can stop and say hello and goodbye to each other in a realistic way. So in this moment, why not really inhabit your body? It's not going to be here for long. Notice that it breathes. Notice how the mind is. And please let us bring awareness to where the body touches the chair, to the life in the hands, to the life in the face, to the eyes themselves. And then let us undertake that intention to open the eyes and then let them open. And notice that seeing happens. You'd think it would become commonplace, like, oh yeah, there's seeing. My experience is it's more startling in a way every time as the years go by. Reminds me, I shared this poem a week or so ago from my oldest mentor. He's 95 years old. His name is Don Nickerson. I saw him a week ago. Reminds me I need to call and make another date to go see him. He's descending into dementia. He's not well physically. It was so painful to watch. He had to go to the bathroom, and Linda sensed this, and so she helped him to his feet, but he was still bent over. And it took way more than a minute for him to stand up. It was so hard to watch, painful. Then took at least 2 minutes to get to the bathroom. It's really difficult moments in his life. And but anyway, we have for it was he who 40 some years ago said I should start a private practice teaching meditation and mixing that with counseling, and very important. My first therapist. Anyway, the poem, we always trade a poem when I go, and his poem this time was here, not here. Here, not here. Let's try it with vision. So when I say the words, between here and not here, I invite you to close your eyes. And then on here, open them again, and not here, close them again. We'll do it just twice. So here, not here. Here, not here. Here. I remember a long time ago it took LSD to make that obvious. Now, look at this. It's here. It's seeing and then it's not seeing. Thinking, not thinking. Hearing, not hearing. Jim, are there any announcements that I or we should do? I've lost track of them completely.
Well, on Saturday I'm going to be online doing a Qigong workshop from about 9 o'clock to 1 o'clock. And but it's the usual evening routine with Doug tonight, and then the noon 11:30 appointment with Doyle. So those are the upcoming things.
And candles Sunday nights are first and third Sundays, I think.
Yeah, so the Sunday will be the third Sunday.
Okay. Anybody have anything you'd like to share?
Well, I had an interesting experience with impermanence this week. A good friend of mine, Ron, went into ICU for chest pain, and yesterday he had stent put into his arteries, but it was the doctors found less than they anticipated, so he's on his way to a nice recovery. And then yesterday afternoon, I ran into my another neighbor, and he's got Parkinson's, and he gets out with this walker and struggles around the block, several days a week, and he's often real self-conscious about the fact that part of Parkinson's is losing control of the lips and drooling. And yesterday we were struggling with a conversation, and I was listening. He was talking, and a big long drool just fell out of his mouth, and he never blinked an eye and never showed any sign of self-consciousness. He was just like equanimity. This is who I am today. He just looked me right in the eye. And, it was painful in a way, but it was really sweet that he had no pulling back, no aversion. It was just, this is who I am.
Wow, thanks. Is that the Ron that I know as well?
Yes.
Thanks.
Robert, can you tell us who that song was by?
Oh, yes, it's Berkeley Heart. Berkeley, I think it's both. Yeah, Berkeley. No, Berkley, Heart. And the album is called Crow. My name is Sam.
Thank
Says
you.
it all, doesn't it? It's just. It's lovely to see your faces this morning. Thank you for coming to be together.
I had another poignant experience this week. Uh, a Tai Chi student uh, that started with me last fall was also focused on moving her mother through the hospice process. And then the class that I was teaching was canceled for the winter. It was an outside class. And she came back this spring and started up again, but her mother had died, and she was in the middle of, well, not in the middle, she was well into grief. And after class on Tuesday, she came up to me and said, "You know that opening where we just lift our hands and move down? You taught that in the fall, and it was so soothing to me when I would go to my mother's room. Uh, I'd get all tense and worried, and she's not a meditation student. She's a Tai Chi student, so she doesn't have a regular meditation practice. But she would stand up and do that peaceful, quiet lifting, falling, and then she could go back and help her mother with whatever was needed. And then after her mother died, whenever she would feel the pain of grief and sadness, she'd stand up and do this and calm herself with the opening move of the Tai Chi. Then when she came back to the class and started it in April, she said, there's no more sadness connected to it. Whenever I start that movement, then it's just my connection to my mother. That's still there, right in the movement. I was, I had a little trouble driving home. I was crying. Wonderful.
Thank you, Jim.
Hey, Robert. It's Tim and Eugene.
Mr. Tim Blood. Hello.
Hi. Hey. So I just want to thank you for just bringing more awareness into my life over the decades. And it was especially poignant a couple of weeks ago. We visited friends in Yachats. And Jerome Garger was mid-80s and has been to some of your retreats. I think a couple of the ones at Hasita House. And from working with you and with Stephen, I just, had more of an awareness of this could be the last time I see him. He's had some health issues, but we had a lovely 2-hour visit there in his lawn, on his yard in Yachats, not due to COVID, but because he said the house was a mess because I'm writing my memoirs, and he has written many letters to the Eugene Register Guard, and was a teacher at Lane Community College, started the Peace Studies program there. And it was just so wonderful being with him and his wife, Vicki. I told him I loved him and appreciated the friendship we had over the many years. And he died last Friday. And I just feel like I don't have that pain of unfinishedness with him. I just feel like I've been up to date with him and telling him how much I appreciate him when I had the chance. And it makes his passing a little easier. So thank you.
Would you say his name again, Tim?
Jerome Garger. Yeah, and he would write a letter to the Register Guard and send it to a bunch of us beforehand, because sometimes they didn't get printed. And I say I've got 10 years worth of his emails. So I've posted 2 so far, some of his letters, one on military recruiters in the schools and how that's not a good thing, and another one on a local politician who had retired, and he had plenty of things to say about him. So anyway, Jerome Garger, wonderful man, influenced by you as well as Ram Dass. He was very close with Ram Dass, and loved him deeply. So anyway, thank you.
I'm forgetting. I met someone recently who knew you well. Oh, golly. I'll remember and write you. Colleague of yours at Lane.
Was it someone there in Portland?
I'm not.
Yeah.
I remember well the conversation, but I can't remember who. Shoot.
Okay. Yeah.
It was one of those conversations where I said, "Oh, well, you probably know Tim Blood," and he said, "Tim? Oh, we." And then we had a lot. So I will put in a request to the filing system and see if it will remember. And that's an odd thing. I mean, I don't think my memory is as good as it was. I'm sure it isn't as good as it was before, but it's still so fascinating to me. I'll put a request in, sort of, like curiosity, and then, I don't know, I'll be working in the garden this afternoon, and all of a sudden, bam, out of nowhere will come that, hopefully. So how does that happen? I have no idea. It's nothing that I do.
My dad taught me a good system for remembering names and words sometimes, and that's just to start going through the alphabet.
I've done that. Yeah.
Yeah, really helps. Yeah.
The English alphabet.
Yeah. It's the only one I know.
Anybody else have anything you'd like to share before we head off into our journeys today? It's kind of sweet being quiet together.
I want to share that I brought home somebody with me from the coast. And I wouldn't have if you hadn't mentioned her. Oh, you have to turn that.
Oh my goodness.
Close it? Yeah, because the light.
Wow. Oh, look at that. Wow. Is she porcelain?
Yes.
Wow.
So
How
you always
lovely.
mentioned Kuan Yin, and when I saw her in this antique store, I was like, I think I need to bring her home.
Mm-hmm.
And now she's in the meditation room.
How gorgeous.
Drop it over here.
Yeah, just drop it over. Have a wonderful day, everybody. It's been very sweet to sit with you today.
Well, thank you. Let us perhaps close with let's go to may all beings be happy just for fun. Knowing that it really means may all beings receive all blessings. In all those places where there's war at this moment, may it cease. In all those places where there are human beings oppressed, crushed, may that cease. May all the places within ourselves where there's war, may that cease. May all those billions of places where there is self-hatred and other hatred, actions of speech and email and media where there is lying and deception, may that cease. So let's close with may all beings be happy, knowing what we really mean. So please unmute if you wish, and we'll do it together. May all beings be happy. May all beings be happy. May all beings be happy. Sadhu, sadhu, sadhu. Well, the PIMC Tabernacle Choir has once again risen to great harmonies and beauty in creating a transcendent musical experience. Thank you all. Have a fine, mindful day.
Thanks, Robert.
Bye, everybody.
Thank you. Bye.
Thank you. Thank you.
Hey,
Hello, Tamara.
have
Hello.
a wondrous day, Pooh Bear.
Bye, Tamara.
Goodbye, Had. You have a wondrous day as well. Ciao.
Hello, Denise. How is it down in Medford? Oh, she's gone. All right. Take care, everybody. Goodbye, Hadley.
Bye, Robert.
Goodbye, dear friend.